flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 4 is public appearances. Public's opportunity to speak on any subject that is not a specific agenda item. This is related to agenda items. No one from the public for that. Item 5 is discuss and consider the meeting minutes for the Planning Commission from June 12th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussions or edits? Having heard none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Alex. All right, item 6, discuss and consider the request from the Village of Cottage Grove for the approval of CSM to split Lot 11 in the Commerce Park to create approximately 2-acre parcel for Madison window cleaning. Staff, any comments?
Yeah, so the CSM was drafted by MSA to create the lot that we're going to sell to Madison Window Cleaning. Their site plan was approved last month. So this is just another step in the process. We recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions from commission members? All right. I will make a motion then to approve the CSM to split Lot 11 in the Commerce Park to create an approximate 2-acre parcel for Madison window cleaning. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is discuss and consider a request from Dave Remsop for the approval of preliminary plat for Kennedy Hills subdivision located at the Village ETJ area northwest on Highway BB and Kennedy Road in the town of Cottage Grove. Excuse me. Aaron, you want to comment on anything here?
Doesn't look like Dave's here, but the preliminary plat is the same as what we saw at the concept level. It's, I think he showed us this last month as well when he was requesting to do the preliminary and the final at the same time. He had some additional engineering work to do that's going to put the final off till probably next month. But we'd recommend approval of the preliminary plat with a few conditions. One, that he provide the street and drainage plans along with the final plat approval. If he has any covenants, deed restrictions, or homeowners association documents, that he submit those with the final plat for review. And then per our subdivision ordinance, we typically have a 1-acre minimum for lots in the ETJ unless the town is willing to approve something smaller. In this case, they are, so the third condition is just acknowledging that we're okay with those smaller lots.
Okay. Any questions, comments from commission members?
Did Dave Reesop indicate that he would be here tonight, or?
I assume so.
Have you talked with him at all about this stuff?
Yeah, he stopped in to let me know he wasn't doing the final plat at this time.
Did we have our staff report done at that time so that he would know our issues with the preliminary plat?
No, we really didn't have issues with the plat itself. We're just looking for that additional bit of information for the final. There's nothing that's going to affect the layout of it.
Any other comments, questions? All right. And I will make a motion then to approve the preliminary plat for Kennedy Hills subdivision located at the Village ETJ area northwest of Highway BB at Kennedy Road in the town of Cottage Grove with conditions as staff has indicated.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
Only thing I want to cite note is Did this rekindle any of the discussions regarding a boundary agreement with the town? To the board level or anything? Just that.
No, there is discussion with perhaps in Madison, but those are very preliminary at this point.
Okay.
And that would be perhaps joint or perhaps just with each municipality in Madison. But the election occurred and there's no additional discussion.
So our ordinance, what you said was an acre right now? And
Right.
I believe the town's is a half acre currently, so.
It's 20,000 square feet is what they
The-
indicate in their comp plan.
The town, okay, change it to 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, they looked at that.
Okay. So is that something that we need to look into on our end to try to coincide with what?
Maybe, I mean, we're kind of covered by saying if the town's okay with it, we're okay with it. But something we can look at next time we're making edits.
We're going to refer that to ordinance to start with. And then kick it out back here.
All right.
About that. That's good. All right, there's a motion and second. Any further discussion? Having heard that, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 8 is a public hearing, opportunity for the public to provide input regarding the request from Monona Grove Development, Inc. for the approval of the preliminary plat for the proposed Shady Grove subdivision located at 2863 Highway BB, County Highway BB.
You're opening the public hearing?
Yes, I guess, yeah. Thank you. And we do have, no, that's later.
We have the applicants here, Robert and the rest of the team. I'm not sure who wants to do a little overview.
Good evening, Robert Proctor, representing the applicant. As most people here know, this has had a long history. I think the planning report lays it out in broad brushes pretty well. The rezoning for the single-family development was adopted pursuant to conditioned on changes, a new plat, I should say. And we brought the new preliminary plat forward. As staff has pointed out, it's practically identical to the concept plan shown that was part of the conditional approval. One of those changes was changing Bus Road to 100-foot right-of-way. I think that was a request from a board member. I think it's absolutely critical that we keep this moving. The village has had 6 single-family permits pulled this year. It's on pace for 12, probably less than 12, because when the winter comes, there's probably not going to be a lot. As most of you know, Dane County is the fastest growing county in the state, and Cottage Grove is almost showing negative growth. So it's time to get some single-family lots approved and ready for building, and I think we've complied with everything that's been asked of us. So we're just asking for approval of the preliminary plat, and we agree with the conditions, that all the conditions that staff has included in its report.
Anything to add, Aaron or Matt or Mike?
Yeah, Mike and I can walk through our conditions. Most of the planning conditions are basic edits to the drawing itself. Number 1, lot 18 was shown as being just under 10,000 square feet, which is our minimum, so we'll have to shift that lot line. Probably a few inches will accomplish the task. There's an incorrect label on Bus Road. It's shown most places as the correct 100-foot width. There's one place where it's shown as 66. Just edit or remove that label. Number 3, updating the signature line to reflect John as the village president. Conditions 4 through 8 are simply updating notes in the title block to reflect the correct current lot numbering. Number 9, we'd like to see the covenants resubmitted, again, updating lot numbers, addressing the pipeline easement, and addressing the environmental corridor, making sure the lots are correct for those conditions that can come along with the final plat. Number 10, there's a few layers that I'm sure are in the computer file that just need to be turned on. Land use and zoning, grade contours, setbacks, and depth to groundwater. Number 11, showing the environmental corridors on the plat. Number 12, just a reminder that previously we had approved this with the developer putting in a 4-foot-high chain link fence along the cemetery. Number 13, just a reminder that there'll be fee in lieu for the discrepancy in parkland. And number 14, again, just a reminder, there'll be a developer agreement that'll have to be signed between the village and developer, outlining everybody's obligations and timing relative to public improvements. Mike, if you want to discuss your items.
I think Aaron covered our comments on the plat. The master site plan, I guess we'll be making sure the intersection for bus and fundamental will be designed to meet the future back at curb. That will be done with a 2021 project for Cottage Grove Road. So bus road from Drumlin Ridge, that first block to Cottage Grove Road will be 4-lane, no parking. Bus road from Drumlin Ridge to the south will be 2-lane with parking for on-street parking. The grading plan, just a reminder, there'll be another step even after final plat with the land disturbance permit, so they'll have a complete construction erosion control plan for that. Disturbance will require also the NOI permit with the DNR. Storm sewer will be extended for future connections for Cottage Grove Road at Bus Road and also at Fundamental Way for mid-block storm sewer. Comment 6 on the retaining wall may actually change and will be vetted out in the design of Cottage Grove Road. As far as needing a retaining wall, we're looking at options not to. Refer to the stormwater management comments, and then we have comments related to the main detention basin for its design elevations and talking with the engineers. That's all possible, looking at the storm sewers coming in. Other than one, that will be done. The development is for the design storm sewer. They're picking up as much on Bus Road all the way to the south. So the south end is the low end of the road, and they're putting inlets down there to get to their main detention basin. So that pipe capacity will be, involve modeling for when the pond is high and be a submerged outlet. But we understand that as long as the road is above it. So we have an infiltration basin also at the discharge point, and they're looking at the fine point with the inlet pipes being adequately high enough for feeding that. The plan and profile sheets, looking at just comments on design points with the water main and hydrant locations. Those will be corrected. And alignment of the force main notes are just pen and ink issues. 3, manhole A1 will have additional outlet invert. That's the last manhole before they turn to their pumping station. Someday we want to be able to add a gravity sewer to discharge that part of the village when available, so that lift station would then be taken off service someday. Provide information on private utility crossings and street lighting locations. They'll be getting, we talked about that in more detail with the designers about getting a plan from Alliant Energy. And those will be LED street lights as Alliant Energy would typically put in now. On stormwater management, so extending the Cottage Grove culvert pipes is another point that we looked at in the design of Cottage Grove Road. Will take care of comment number 1. When Cottage Grove Road is reconstructed, rather than having them extend the end walls further, that is a corrugated metal pipe, so it will be replaced. Comment number 2, the area between lot 9 and 10 is along the east side of the plat, and there's a sump condition there that we want to make sure as the homes are built, that the drainage way remains free-flowing to the west to Fundamental Way. And at Fundamental Way, they have double inlets on both sides of the street, which is a great position for those. But we'll want a utility easement shown on the final plat that will protect pass-through drainage coming from Meadowcrest in that location. HydroCAD modeling, 1, we go through 1, A, B, and C, looking at the large drainage way, the large drainage area that has pass-through water from the north. In the comment, we're just making sure they're modeling pre- and post-development runoff rates, not using pass-through water. But they will have their storm sewers, and the storm sewers are designed to pass through the water. We just don't want that included in the modeling. And then the southern half of BB east of Fundamental Way drains to a roadside ditch. We want that collected and brought in as well. That's just the south half of BB. As it would normally flow to Meadowcrest, we want that picked up as part of the storm sewer. So that's should improve conditions there from what they're seeing now. Landlocked area, let's see, additional areas shall provide partially landlocked basin within sub B. These are modeling comments. And we will have a meeting tomorrow and Friday with Eric Thompson, the person that generated these comments, and the engineers from JSD that prepared the plans. Curve numbers, we want to make sure they're using the right curve numbers for the lands that are pre- and post-development. Using the wrong curve numbers can artificially change the concentration of flows in stormwater modeling. So bottom line with all these comments, we checked to make sure enough land was reserved for the detention basins, and it is. It's just some tweaks that need to be made to the design. Subcatchment 4 under proposed conditions is cropland, and that gets into the runoff curve numbers and how we want to make sure they're modeling that for both their detention and pass-through water. Time of concentration, also critical in stormwater management. We'll be going through these comments with them one by one, but several instances where time of concentration were based on very long sheet flow paths, and sheet flow is actually something that kind of reduces the runoff rates in the model, so we want to make sure those are accounted for properly. Pond overflow weirs are all modeled in HydroCAD as sharp-crested weirs. They have some drawdown pipes to get to the infiltration basin and overflow as far as coming like over a berm in a formed weir. Wind slam modeling is getting into water quality, so we have to look at water quality as far as the total suspended solids and total phosphorus loads that the site reduces. So we're going through that with them as well as far as the UTP modeling. And that is 1 through 3 on that. And the wet basin design gets into the elevation issue I was talking about, where Outlet Pond is installed on an elevation of 912, but the surface of their Infiltration is at 915. It is a rock-filled infiltration basin of 3 feet, so that accounts for those 3 feet. But in the case of frozen ground and different conditions, we just want to have a little more ability for the outlets, the intakes to the ponds to be high enough. And it looks like they have the grade to do that. Infiltration and bio detention, I'm going to go over the details of that rock basin with them. And the capacity of the subgrade ground to actually infiltrate at the specified rates. Next thing we get into is a lift station and force main design. Got several comments on items there. I've gone through the design of this. It's going to be a double pump design. Initially, Utility Commission had discussed the idea of grinder pumps being down there because of a condition we had at Main Street. Grinder pumps, the discharge was 2-inch discharge, and we don't want that. And the permitting for that with the DNR would be challenging for an entire subdivision. So we're looking at, and they've agreed to the normal non-clogged 4-inch discharge pumps. There's various items that we have. This will include a backup power supply on site, which is a diesel. Reviewing the various water supplies and things at the lift station site, the wet well sizing, they've up to 6 feet on their plans now. And those were comments that we required, and various epoxy coated items, valve vault drain design, and the fall protection for workers at the site, and then the warning sign. These are things that they've agreed to adjust in their plans. So we'll be going through those and getting an updated plan with these comments. We anticipate by agreement on all items the end of this week, and in preparation, should this be approved, for final plat submittal. And that's my comments.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Any comments from commission members?
Yeah, so it's public hearing, please. Is there anybody else on?
Okay. All right, then this is a public hearing, so it's the public's opportunity to come up and speak about this particular item. I don't know if anybody does want to speak, but we certainly have a few folks here.
Can I just ask a question?
If you'd come up to Mike, please. You know, you can ask away. Please let us know your name.
My name is Janine Anderson. I live at 2811
Okay.
My question is, all these things that you spoke of, you said that by the end of the week that you thought that you would have agreement as long as there was approval for the plat today. And did I misunderstand that? All the items that you went through?
Yes.
Okay. So why can't we just get that resolved first and then approve the plat? Is that the problem, or is that difficult? Or, I mean, because it doesn't seem like that much time if you're going to resolve it by the end.
I want to see the actual models resubmitted for that, and that we would have by the end of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question again is then why approve the plat today until you have all that?
In all the conditions that we've had on previous plats, we've had comments ranging this large on them. So, and when we come in with final plat, we expect those to be all cleared and the engineering drawings to have that all corrected. So.
Anyone else? Okay. All right, then at this time we'll close the public hearing and move on to item 9. Item 9 is discuss and consider the request for Mineral Grove Development, Inc., for the approval of the preliminary plat for the proposed Shady Grove subdivision located at 2863 County Highway BB.
I had a question, if I
Okay,
may.
certainly.
For item 12 on Aaron's memo, or staff report, I should say, about the chain link fence, is it possible instead of having it be the standard silver chain link, that we make it black chain link fence instead? I just think that looks better. Is that?
You can ask for that.
Like this? Do you guys have a preference? I mean, because it'll be against the road then,
Yeah.
everybody will see. I just think if putting a chain link fence there, black I think would look better as opposed to silver. I mean, we could make it orange if you want.
People would see it then.
Right.
I don't have an issue with it as long as the black stays on. You can add that in.
Add that as a condition.
Any,
A black chain link?
yeah.
Yeah, black chain link fence is okay. Who maintains that? Will the village maintain that, or who maintains that?
So is it, I'm not very familiar with chain link fences, but is it like rubber coating then on the fence, or is it painted? Like how, anybody?
That will be vinyl coating, and they do have a lifespan of about 10 years. Before the vinyl starts deteriorating, cracking, and then falling off. So within 10 years, you would go back to having a
Chain link.
galvanized chain link fence. Anyways.
I mean, it's only the preliminary plat. We can look at fences and come back to you and see if you want to see if there's something. I mean, the one question is even if we install a fence, whose fence is it at the end of the day? You know, I mean, is the fence right now on the cemetery's property, or is it on our property? You know, I mean,
Right.
and who's going to maintain it? So,
Right.
but we can look at fence types.
Yeah, and just to add to that, what's right next to it is public right of way, so
Right.
I would say it would go on the property line, but
So was that question, like, who is the owner of the fence if we're installing it? I mean, is that sort of answered?
That's what we need to look into, or figure out, Alex.
Yeah, it sounded like that's where you were going, but then it sort of fell apart, like there was no definite, it falls back to the homeowner of the original one, you know, where boundaries were, it was deeded over, whatever, to the cemetery. Okay.
John, based on my intimate knowledge of the cemetery fence, after years of arguing over it, I would agree that that's something we want to make sure is resolved one way or the other. So to the satisfaction of everyone involved, with what the responsibilities are.
Absolutely.
So, is there a reason why we're putting a fence there?
It was a request from the town back when the original plat was reviewed, and we chose to include it as a condition then.
Is there gonna be a
And to
sidewalk?
keep junk from
Sure,
blowing in or so.
sure. Is there gonna be a sidewalk on that side of the street?
So in the current plan, yes.
No, it's not going to be on the.
We're talking west side of the property, so there'll be no sidewalk on that area.
Because the road butts right up against the fence then.
A very small portion of bus road will creep into that, but it'll be at the very northwest of the plat.
Right.
Which side's the sidewalk?
it is, it's a bike path on the other side, on the east side of the road.
Yeah, so it's gonna go,
Not the buses, but
Here, Mike.
got a bigger piece?
Yes.
Good, 'cause this is pretty small. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
No amount of focus that can help that.
Here's the better.
Because there won't be a sidewalk on the outlot.
Can we move Alex a little bit?
Yeah. That does a pretty good job maybe of showing the cemetery. I believe, is that anyone from the cemetery here? But this looks like the rear lot line of the cemetery.
Right.
So it's quite a bit of it, actually, that's right along public right away. There's maybe a little gap of private property in there, but.
So where's the bike path? I'm sorry.
It's on the other side.
It's on the other side of the road, which is the east side. Bike path extends along here.
Does the fence make sense?
You can't.
I think it was a loose
Can't see that at all.
Mike, if you point, just point on
when it
the
was
table.
made way back
Then it'll-
when, or it's been a hot topic over the years. There's-
I might as well do it on the
It's
screen.
really a fallen down brush.
Is that right? Yeah.
I know, I saw
Where
it.
There's not clarification on who's maintaining it, which is what is even brought up tonight. So my thought is that I would take item 12 and add to it on, with clarification of type of fence,
This is Cottage
style,
Road.
and
This is the
location, and
cemetery.
responsibility
This
of
is
maintenance.
Bus Road here,
Yeah.
and the bike trail's on this side. So the only thing abutting the cemetery, I believe, it ends here.
That is sidewalk shown.
Where, on this side?
The white? The white
That's sidewalk, yes.
Yes, all right, so then it would be a fence along that sidewalk.
Kind of
Yeah.
like speaking to.
Where's the bike path?
Cemetery in the past, that kind of
Bike
like that's
path
what people
stops
wanted
right
to cut
here.
through the cemetery, and it was created a barrier.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of
But
our property.
the brush that's there creates a barrier right now, so it's unlikely people are.
Folks, if you're going to direct questions, could you come up and identify yourself? Because if, we have to try to make a record here. So when you're just shouting questions out from the audience, we're not sure who's asking the question, and we'd like to make sure we get a complete record.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Stephen Bork. I have the property south of this. And all my question was, I was asking where the bike path goes to. And it goes to our fence line, but I can't see why is there a bike path being put into our fence line when it stops right there? Is there a continuation that at some point is gonna continue? And is Bus Road actually gonna continue to Vilas Road?
So you own the property right now that's south of this?
Yes.
So eventually, it's in our comp plan that your property, Bus Road, would go through if you were to ever sell it or annex it into the village.
From what I learned from the last meetings that we had, basically, this Bus Road is supposed to be completed to Vilas Road before subdivision would even be put in, from what I'm understanding before.
No, because obviously you own that property, so the road will not go through your property until it's in the village. and it currently
So the
is
bike path and the road is to nowhere, basically.
Yes.
At this point.
at this point.
But you can use it. It's your property.
It's just, I'm Jane Ring. We live on Bus Road. So my question is, up here, is that like a zigzag kind of a thing? It's not gonna go straight on Bus? Are you putting a stop and go light there? Are you putting a roundabout? How's this attaching to the existing bus route?
There's a 67 feet that was dedicated from center line of Bus North going east They still aren't perfectly aligned. When we get into with these guys, the final detail, we'll either have to put an 85-degree angle, or we're looking at other options. So 2021, we're planning things with it. We've got a TIA from the elementary school that's indicating we meet 4-hour warrants at that intersection. We have an impact analysis from the school and what they're doing, indicating that when that happens, we're going to meet what's called a warrant analysis, a need for signals at Bus Road and Cottage Grove Road. So yes, there would be that. There'd be that traffic control. We will have to have alignment with that. It will not be a offset. The dedication helps with that. And you asked if it's signals or roundabouts, and I think we'll have to have a separate public hearing on that to decide. Thank you.
I'm Lori Miller. I also live on Bus Road. So is the Bus Road extension being done soon as part of all of this? The existing Bus Road being extended wider, is that all part of this project?
No.
And what's the timeline for that?
We're reviewing the school district, and just for them to open, I don't believe it needs to be done, but as we get into it further with the school and develop an agreement, we'll have to decide what is practical. We don't know the school's input on that yet, but we do have a plan for that type of cross-section in the future. Not necessarily sidewalk on the other side. You know, we recognize that there are town residents for what we'll call a big track 40 in there. So it will be in the future. And so when Hamburgs are looking to the north as well, they are going to go through different editions of a development to get to Bus Road. That may be the appropriate time when there's enough development there. But we have to look at, when we're doing the intersection, it will connect in with the existing rural two-lane road that's there now, but it will probably only go up 400 or 500 feet up the street to improve the intersection. At some point, it will be something like what you're seeing there, extending further north.
Any ballpark idea? Are we talking 2 years out, 5 years out?
5.
10, 5?
Yeah, plus.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Linda Newman, I'm also on Bus Road. My question is the speed limit on Bus Road. Been asking about that forever. It's 45 there. It is crazy to pull out of our driveways, to back out. Everywhere else on Bus Road north of Gaston is 25. Now on Vilas, they reduced it to 35 instead of 45 where the houses are. Why can't we, with all this traffic, because we get everyone cutting through to go to the expressway, everyone cutting through to get to Cottage Grove Road, they're not doing 45, I can tell you. They're doing a lot faster than that. So that's my question, is what is going to happen with all these houses and all the traffic going through on Bus? We can't get out now. It takes me sometimes 4 or 5 minutes waiting in my driveway to get out in the morning because there is so much traffic on that road now. So that's my question, is what the speed limit's going to be, and are you guys thinking lowering that at least so that people aren't flying through there at 50 miles an hour?
We have 2 speed limits. Well, we have 3 with the 15 mile an hour on East Oak, but we have 2 general speed limits in the village, and generally 35 or 25, and anything unposted in the municipal boundaries 25. This being moving more people, I think we had problems when we lowered the speed limit on end to 25 miles an hour and then kind of reassessed it at 35 miles an hour. So that's kind of the range I think we're talking about.
And that's fine, it's better than 45 because they're not doing 45 is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're doing 50, 55. So if it is to 35, at least they're doing 40, you can get somewhat a break to sneak out, you know. And I have a turnaround so I can pull out but it's still hard some mornings. So that is my concern.
Thank you.
Alex, it sounded like you had a question before the last comment. Is that?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for getting me in here. So Bus Road over by lot 41 is the new area. Looks like there's a median. So if I'm in lot 41 or lot 40, 42, I cannot make a left out of my driveway. So is there going to be a big enough gap down by that other gentleman's property that people can turn around? And then I guess also JJ, Public Works is going to have to maintain that lift station. So trucks are going to have to get in there and that type of stuff. So how is that being managed at the end of that road?
There's a turnaround on our property at the end of that road.
They've left the median short about 50 feet so that there's, it's just solid, it's solid asphalt at the bottom end.
So 50 feet is like all of lot 40. So I was looking at drawing C5.
No, it's about half.
Right, and it kind of brings the median all the way down, nearly all the way down, probably touching. So you're like 50 feet is going to be the width of 40.
It's half of 40.
Okay.
Half of 40. Okay, so anyone coming out of 41, they're expected to go south, I guess, and then wrap around.
Okay.
I don't know if 50 is enough. I don't know. It's something to think about.
Okay.
There's snow plowing, you're going to have a big pile of snow at the end of that.
Okay, any other comments from commission members?
Just in, Mike, in your report number, under the HydroCAD modeling on page 4, number 5, about the pond overflow weir. At the end of that sentence, there's just a comma, and I just want to make sure we weren't missing anything from.
Oh, no, sorry, that should be a period.
Okay.
I'd note that the island in the middle was requested by the village.
Right.
It's not ours.
On our boulevard type.
He's just wondering if it should be shortened up a little bit, so
We're fine shortening it.
that's what he's saying to look into is all. If
The end of the island can be shortened up, maybe to match lot 40 or maybe at least half of lot 40, if that would be some concerns.
it's just something to look into for that individual at lot 41 coming around and wrapping around, he's saying for future, so.
Well, it's whatever you tell us, because
It'll be
we don't want it, it wasn't
Yeah.
our idea to put it in.
Alex, are you thinking to step the shortening of the median?
I think you need to have provisions for lot 43, 41, even 40 to get out of their driveway and head for it. And so they can't cross the median that's being designed into it. And it just, on the drawing of C5.0, it's just a very tiny little gap. So, it looks like we're expecting to come out of their driveway, head south, and then wrap around. I perfectly see if that road's wide enough, they're going to make a left out, go along the road. You're going to have trash trucks come down there, and you're going to have to turn around. The tree trimming, pickup and all that stuff with trailers on a regular basis.
So,
It's going to be tough with only 50 foot. I think it's just something to think about. They got that lift station. Are we having backup power there? Is there going to be generators? Or we have temporary connections for one? So.
No,
It's a minor question. I know it's not a showstopper here, but it's something that's got to be considered. Thinking of the top that we should straight through for a while.
Okay.
Mike, what's your take on that?
It's essentially like a 5-lane road down there, as far as the road width. Tomas, what's the flange to flange or basic curb to basic curb down
Yeah,
there?
that's what I'm looking for, but it's, we're looking at effectively a 4-lane road
With a,
of 12 feet lanes each. So each of the sides of the boulevard will have 24 feet, plus I believe it's 14 feet wide island. So you would have 64 feet. It's basically a cul-de-sac.
it's what we would
almost the size
require.
of a cul-de-sac. So an emergency vehicle, like a fire truck, should be able to make a U-turn and at that end. If the island is shortened a little bit, it would even make it easier for vehicles with the trailer, for example. But 64 feet should allow for a comfortable U-turn.
I think the question is it worth investigating putting cuts in so the driveways would have left turn out of their driveways on those 4 lots? Right, Alex?
I don't think you're putting in cuts in the meetings. I don't think that was part of the design, for the north side of Bus Road that gets picked up north of Cottage Road.
So what I'm asking is, are you asking to shorten it, or are you asking to get rid of it, or are you asking to figure out a solution to turn left?
I was looking to see if it would be shortened.
Okay.
Yeah, that should not be a problem.
That's generally it. I mean, you're gonna have people coming out of 57 and 56. They're all gonna have to make a right, and then, I mean, what do? They do a U-turn. Is Morning Star and Bus Road? Is that gonna be? Can you make a U-turn in that intersection? Because that's what those people 57, 56. That's what they're doing, right? 'Cause they're gonna head up north. There's no way out. They're gonna make a left on Cottage Grove Road to go head towards Madison. They're going to do a U-turn. Is that acceptable? School busing and all that other stuff.
So your thought is to stip it with a stopping between lots 40 and 41 instead of running.
Yeah, I mean
it
that I think that would make it. That's a nice demarc. I don't know aesthetically how that all looks and plays out. You guys are the engineers and smarter at that stuff than me. I'm just looking at it as, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. I think you guys understand where I'm looking at it from.
Okay.
But
What?
I think, I saw that as kind of a dead end. The nice gentleman brought up, hey, what happened to that road? It was made clear it was a dead end. So I think we just need to provide provisions that, hey, it's going to be a dead end for a while. How do we manage it? That's all. I don't want to get jammed up in the future saying, hey, I wish that median was shorter, and that would have helped us. So.
Mike, what's your take on that?
And this is a good test for what could happen to the north, so I think we'd probably want to look at mid-block cross pass-throughs as well. Which we've done for folks living on Cottage Grove Road in the town and on County Highway N at, Horsemeyers.
Okay.
So then, Mike, if the property to the south ever did get developed and Bus Road goes through like that one area by lot 40 would then just remain open like that, do you think? Or, I know it all depends, but.
That in that particular location, typically we would come in and continue it on, but I think if we keep a plan for, mid-block pass-throughs on the island, so they're not making having to go down to the intersection for a U-turn just to get out, probably makes a lot of sense, so. Okay.
Then I had a question as far as lots 10, 11, and 12. Are those on Fundamental Way then, and not on Morning Star Way? Like, what would the address be? Whatever the homeowner decided when they
No,
built
they don't
their.
decide the addresses, they signed by the
Post office.
By the post office.
Okay.
So my guess is, so 10's the, I don't know, I guess, but certainly
11 will probably be on Morning Star, and 10 will probably be on Way.
in 10, 12, which was
It typically depends on
Probably 12 will load from
fundamental.
Fundamental. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know, Robert, somebody had a question. I don't know if you want
And here,
to see what they wanted.
My
My name is Sharon Mercer. I live on Damascus. I'm just wondering, how wide are the streets in here? Can 2 cars park on each side and still somebody drive through? Or is it just going to be parking on one side or what?
Go ahead, Tomas, I think it's 36 face-to-face, so that's
Yes,
good.
actually, if I may change the view here a little bit, I think I was looking for this. Let me see, I'm trying to get used to this projector.
You're a bit professional at the end here.
Okay, everybody can see that?
Yes.
Okay. What you see there is the typical minor street cross-section. This would be Fundamental Way, this would be Morningstar, Shady Street, and Max Colby Circle. All of those will have that same cross-section, which will have a 36 face-to-face width of the road. So the driving lanes would be 18 feet wide each.
So does that mean you can park on both sides
I
and
was
still
just gonna say,
drive through?
that's all she's looking
Yes.
Yes. I would assume it's plenty of room for roadside parking on
I
both
mean,
sides.
assuming in that, I mean, because a lot of people park on both sides, and then if you have an ambulance or a fire truck or something.
Oh, well, each car will take about 6 feet or 7 feet of the road when they're parked. So you, out of 36, you would lose about 14 on each, on both sides when you add them all together. So there's still plenty of room for a very large emergency vehicle to drive through, with no issues. The village, I would imagine, would also administer the way the parking is handled during winter months, which it's a little bit different because of the snow accumulation, but
But when you come in, then it's going to be 4 lanes? No?
not on the minor streets.
Bus road.
On Bus Road, it will be 4 lanes, no parking, and then as you hit, I think it's at the corner of Drumling, Rich Drive, then at that point it will become a single lane and parking on each side. So, but this road is also quite comfortable as well.
So all the roads are the same width except Bus Road and as far as that goes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shady Grove subdivision. And only in your Shady Grove subdivision right now, because you haven't continued into the other.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, because that's usually ends up to be a problem where it's congested and nobody can get through.
Subdivisions, yeah, subdivisions in the past had 32 feet of space and 29 feet of space and some roads, but 36 feet is pretty typical. It's the typical 2-side parking road that we put in.
Which is not like Oak Street, right? Oak Street's better.
Oak Street where it's really wide? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's probably 40
Okay.
plus feet.
Good.
but-
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
All right, that's going to be a lengthy one, but I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we
Clear.
want to close the public hearing?
Ready.
It was closed about 40 minutes ago.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve with staff conditions, amending item 12 with clarification of type of fence, location of fence, responsibility of maintenance of the fence. And then also adding in, looking into shortening the median to the south and/or looking into mid-block pass-throughs, and subject to the conditions from our village engineer.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye. Can you repeat that, Alex?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 10 is opening of a public hearing, the opportunity for public to provide input regarding the request from the Monona Grove School District for approval of a request to rezone approximately 53.7 acres at 4490 Bus Road from RH Rural Holdings to SR4 Single Family Residential, and for a conditional use permit to allow an elementary school as an indoor institutional land use. So the public hearing is open. Do you want to start with?
So we've got some representatives from the design team and the school district. I'm not sure who wants to be the one to come up here.
Good evening. I'm Jared Rosing, Director of Business Services with the school district. Superintendent Olson would have joined us tonight, but we also have our board meeting. So I'm here representing the school district. Our experts, Bob Weigert, who is with the architect firm EUA. So pretty much they've done all the work on the design with input from staff and some community members. And so I will turn it over to.
Sure, and we've got our civil engineer here as well from Point Beginning, so if there's questions related to that, Andrew is here. So I don't know if you want me to go through anything.
I know they've seen the concept plan, but maybe if you want to go through it briefly, and there's some public here that may not have.
Sure. Is there a way I can plug in? Do you have something?
To your laptop? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just unplug the projector.
The last time we had issues, so let's see what happens.
That's not the school. You guys are going to go to the airport now?
Yeah.
Flying school.
Bring some visitors to Cottage Grove.
All right. So this is the current site. Off to the left is Bus Road. Off to the right is kind of down in the lower left would be Glacial Drumlin Middle School, and up towards the upper right is the development to the east.
Bob, you can use your cursor.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Thanks, Andrew. Is there a microphone that I should be talking into? Is it this?
It's
or?
just to collect it for the video, so.
Oh, okay. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. What you're seeing on this particular drawing are the existing structures and the tree line, just to kind of give you some reference of where we're at. So this is the proposed site, and again, to kind of put it in some context, the existing tree line is somewhere within this area, I will say. So this represents the existing school. The drive or the stipple that you see, the dark area, that indicates drive, parking, some playground area. Let me see if I can get to a different plan that might have.
That's the proposed school.
Proposed,
Not
correct.
exist-
The proposed
okay.
school, right. Trying to find one, sorry. We'll just stick with that one for now. So north is up on the page. The school, again, is entered off of Bus Road. We've got visitor parking along with a loop for parent pickup and drop off that accommodates, I believe we're at about 45 cars. 50, okay. That are able to loop around here. We do have a connecting road as well that does go over to Glacial Drumlin and connect up to their existing parking lot. There is also a loop that comes around the building. This is primarily for bus traffic entering the site and exiting the site. So this is parking for the bus area. I'm not sure how that shows up very well. There is, you'll notice that some of that parking is diagonal. That is for the buses. Basically, they pull straight in When they leave, they turn their wheels, drive out, they're not backing up or anything. Students enter on the right-hand side where the door is, and then the buses will depart. There is an opportunity, if they are going to Glacial Drumlin, that they can navigate towards that direction, but it's my understanding for the most part the buses will be leaving the site and coming back in a different direction. But again, that kind of gives you a traffic flow. This parking that we're showing to the northeast is mainly for staff parking, and then we are showing the extension of the bike path that comes through the neighborhood to the northeast that comes onto the site as well. We're showing some stormwater retention ponds that we've got, and then we're just starting to indicate some grass area that could be for play fields. We're not necessarily putting in an athletic structure there, but it's just space for students. We are using geothermal on this project as well, and the dashed line that you see, or the dashed rectangle that you see in this location, represents that geothermal field. So that's our well field. The other civil information that was included in the submittal is some grading plan, information utilities, dimensional drawings for curves and things like that. I don't think you need to get into that. So just kind of an overview of the site. Let me get to this. So relative to the building, give you a little bit of an overview of what you're looking at here. So if you remember, I talked about the entrance off of Bus Road for parent pickup and drop off. That's this loop that you're seeing, and this is that visitor parking. So we are looking pretty much directly east in this view. This is the main entrance for visitors and those students that are being dropped off or picked up by parents. That the entrance is here. The wings that you see both to the east and to the west of that main spine are the academic learning spaces. It is a 2-story building. We've got academic spaces on the first and second floor here, and academic spaces on mainly the second floor, with some specialty like music and art on the lower portion of that. At the main entry, up above, this is the library, the IMC, and then down below we've got offices. The rectangular box that you see here is the gymnasium. The view that is down on the bottom of the sheet, this is looking almost again directly to the west. This is the entrance where if you were being bused to the school, the students would exit and enter the building. And again, you'll notice this is that area where the buses would be parking. This is one of those wings, again, relative to learning environments being on the second floor and on the lower level. The IMC, and we also have art and music on the east side that you're seeing here, and then again the gym box in that location. There are some straight-on elevations that are a little bit more, I would say, difficult to kind of pick up what's happening, but just kind of gives you an overview of the overall elevations. We use these mainly for constructability information. The 3D images are really to give you a sense of what the building looks like. As far as material on the building, the again, kind of the learning environment aspect of these two wings, the first or lower levels, first and second levels. The orange that you see, is a brick. That is not necessarily representative of the actual color. This is meant to be more of an artistic rendering of what that may look like. We've got some white brick as well, and again, it's not necessarily white, but it shows up that way here. We're also proposing some metal panel on the building, which we are representing in that gray. What you're seeing here is a clear story, so it's basically a higher roof elevation above that second floor that allows daylight to come into that second floor space. We're also wrapping that around the ends. We're doing the same thing on the other wing. So it's symmetrical in that regard. The brown that you see here, again, is a metal, it's a wood look metal plank, if you will. Being that it's the entrance, we wanted to warm that up a little bit. I think I may have talked a little bit about the theme or the concept for the building last time, relative to kind of the woodlands, the wetlands, the grasslands. We're trying to bring some of that to the architecture on the outside as well. We are also doing that same type of a thing with that wood at the east entrance as well, off of the bus area. bus area. It just doesn't show up here because it's underneath that canopy piece. So a little bit about the materials. Any questions?
I do, but it goes back to your entrance and your access and all of that with regard to the buses and the cars, but we need it done.
On the site plan?
Do we ask now?
Sure. We have your name again? I don't know if we got your name.
Jane
Yeah,
Ring.
please.
We live-
You can go right to the podium too, there's a mic.
We live
close.
right on the corner of Bus and Lane Street. So when people access, and they're saying they're going to come by car from Cottage Grove Road up Bus Road, and then where is the turn going to be? Is it going to be right across from Lane Street so that everybody's turning, or is it going to be down?
I believe it's
towards it?
south of the
It's
street.
further south.
So the district did purchase an additional just shy of 15 acres of the Blair property south. And so we were able to bring, per conversations,
So the turn is going to be before you get to Lane Street?
yes.
Closer to Cottage Grove Road.
Closer to Cottage Grove Road for
Closer
the
to the
parents
Masted
to pick
property?
up. Buses will come in and staff will obviously use the north driveway. The majority of the traffic you should be experiencing coming in at that southern driveway, which should be below
Okay,
Main
so
Street.
this is,
Andrew, help me out here, but I believe the street that we're talking about is right here.
Looks like,
That's close.
Yeah, I think
It's north of the existing
I
property.
believe that's the cut, so that existing road that you're talking about is right here.
That's Lane?
I believe so.
so the access is going to be down.
It appears as though there's a curb cut here. I don't have the full
Okay,
map
so
that
it's up
shows
here,
you.
Lane. Okay, so this will be closer to the Nasted current,
It will actually be south of that Knoxville
even
property.
before that. Okay, so we won't have everybody trying to get in before us. And then when they wrap around, it'll be the same like at Taylor Prairie, where people come in, they have to turn around and they have to turn to the right, not the left. They can't make left-hand turns out of there.
They'll have the opportunity to go in either direction.
Okay, because I know at Taylor Prairie, they only let you turn out to the right, because they don't like people making a left-hand turn there and having more accidents and problems there.
Yeah,
Where
right
is the
now.
bus entrance at?
So the bus entrance is further north of this particular entrance. Jared's gonna.
Or is it still south of the lane?
No, that will be
It is
north
actually
of Lane.
So that's right by our house.
They'll be passed by your house.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the entrance for what I'll call visitor, parent pickup and drop off. This is the entrance for the bus. And I believe this is the road that's in question. So it's basically almost smack dab in the middle.
So the bus entrance is basically going to be right across from us. Do we have plans to extend or widen Bus Road? I mean, it's two lane, you know, you have buses coming in and I'm just wondering.
So the
And that's
buses-
5 years.
the Buses can come down to get kids at Glacier Drum, but they won't necessarily all be going out that way. They'll be coming down to Glacier Drum.
So obviously, depending, we haven't flushed out the exact transportation plan because pretty much our transportation routes depend on an annual basis on a request. But I can tell you the way that we're anticipating it happening. In the morning, our elementary schools start before GDS does. So we would imagine those buses would come into the new elementary school and then continue over to GDS and then exit out on Damascus Trail. In the afternoon, our buses are picking up at the elementary school first and then heading out. So obviously, we're going to not to always have all of our buses come back out to Bus Road because it's going to add time to our routes. And so some of those buses will go back through GDS. Some will come back out. So if we have families that live on Gaston, there's no need to send the buses back through Cottage Grove. We'll have them come back out to Bus Road, turn right and head north. If we have families that live on Vilas and those routes, those would probably come back out on Vilas or on Bus Road and continue down to Vilas. So I would say that we are planning for a maximum of 20 buses to be entering in there. Right now, we do not have 20 routes that would go there. We're at about 15, but we're just obviously planning for growth. So as the school is going to open with a capacity of 700 at the core spaces, cafeteria, and then the ability to add on 3 classrooms, so that's the purpose of the 20.
So eventually, once you figure out your traffic pattern and all of that, then you're looking at possibly widening, the possibility of having bike paths, the possibility of sidewalks going along to access those kids there.
Yes.
Continue, because it has not come all the way past Glacier Drummond and past the old Blair property.
Right. So when I believe the district does have the developers agreement when we built Glacial Drummond School, so when I believe Shady Grove is approved, that Cottage Grove Road would extend. We would extend our portion in front of GDS, which would extend in front of Blair property, and so there would be most likely sidewalks that would
Okay,
continue.
so then once the school gets there, part of our speed limit problem is now going to become school zone property, and we're now going to have a much lower speed limit there, so that'll,
That should
that's
help.
one,
Positive.
a good thing. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
it'll be in the village following approved annexation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's,
So you're annexing, you've annexed that property into the village, which was township, but you're
And
annexing
Bus
Bus Road as well? So then that may mean you may be cutting into some of our properties to widen that road.
that
Would fit within the right of way.
Yeah, we would fit the road within the right of way, but, you know.
33 feet
yeah.
in.
We haven't gotten to that kind of detail.
But you're not looking to annex any further than the road.
Yeah, and the village didn't annex, the private property owners do the annexing, so in this case it was school district annexing.
Yeah, we requested Bus Road all the way between BB and Gaston as the different annexation scheme.
I think that
Say
was,
again to me?
There's been a series of 3 annexations along Bus Road, and for all of them, we requested the entire Bus Road right away, so it's continuously in the village, all the way up and down, just to
And it's just
make maintenance
roadway.
responsibilities easier and that kind of thing.
Okay, there's a question back.
I'm Janice Hamilton, I live on Ruffian Circle. Could I ask again, from, it was prior to this one, you showed where the tree line was existing, and then you said, okay, this tree line, I mean, this is all trees, is that what you're saying, this diagonal markings? So then where-
Plantings of some type.
Existing,
Mhm.
like, is that forest? I'm not that familiar with the area, is it?
There's
scrub
trees and, yes.
Tree
Fence
lines.
line.
Tree lines and tree
Oh,
line.
so it's
I
not-
wouldn't call it forest.
It's not valuable wood? Otherwise, I was asking where this is compared to the building again?
The building is about right in this area,
So you'd be taking out all the trees.
pretty much.
And my first question is, if some of them were salvageable, wouldn't you want to have them salvaged for instant shade? You know, not knowing what type of trees these are.
Right. The difficulty with trying to save some of those is number one, where the placement of the building, and then the grading on the site as well. There's quite a bit of grading that's happening. Basically between all of those areas that I showed with the kind of that road to the north, that bus, not the bus road, but the school bus road, and then the lower road that goes to Glacial Drumline, there's substantial grading that occurs within there. So even with that grading, trying to save some of these trees wouldn't be practical.
Okay, my next question would be, you showed a retention pond, and where is that?
Yep, there's 2 of them. And those are required for stormwater management?
Is this one?
Yep,
And this is one?
correct.
As Cottage Grove keeps building, and I've been here a long time, more and more retention ponds come, and I think we can all agree the mosquito population is increased. Is there ever thought to put fountains to keep water flow movement going? in these retention ponds that keep increasing? I mean, not just here, but in the new Shady Grove development and other places. Is it ever thought to do something to help water movement?
Andrew, can you talk a little bit about the purpose of those ponds and why we don't do that?
Sure. Those ponds are designed to allow dirty water that comes in for that dirt to settle out. So generally, you don't want to have agitation in that water because it would kind of defeat the purpose. But there are some situations where we could put fountains, and we are looking into that for the ponds. But it's we haven't made that determination if we can yet. But we're looking into that, putting in fountain.
Any other questions from the public? Yes, please.
Julie Portuccio, I live on Morning Dove on the other side. I'm just questioning the bike path. Is that connecting up to existing bike path on Morning Dove or? Okay, correct. Thanks. No?
It's south of the.
That's down by our southwest.
Yes.
Southwest.
Pheasant
It's not
Run.
connecting to the morning downtown.
Yeah,
So to the Pheasant Run path?
Pheasant.
Or different path?
south of Pheasant Run.
Well, Pheasant Run, and then doesn't Pheasant Run shoot southways?
This path is 600 feet south of the path that you're asking about.
Is that the one behind the Pheasant Run houses?
Correct.
That,
This runs all the
dead
way
ends
to
right
the
now?
south.
Okay. I that little thing.
By the infiltration basin.
So are you gonna connect them?
It's not mine.
Are you gonna connect them?
That's the idea.
Yes.
Just so I don't have to think about this now. So when you get to the point of widening the bus road, and what you're going to do there, then are you going to put sidewalks and curb and gutter on our side of the development, not just the school side?
Certainly to the north, there's a parcel that's in the village on both sides of Bus Road, but to the south, where it's in the township, it's really up to the town to put sidewalks.
We're still in this,
Yeah.
okay, so we're still in the town. Thank you.
I guess I have one other question too. If this is all going to be, obviously, plumbing and stuff like that, we have, I can't even think of what it is right. We have a septic system. Is there plans to hook up any sewer or anything onto our side other than just the school side?
It's, the school is.
On this side of the bus,
no.
we're on this side.
Oh, is the village extending sewer
Right,
service
this-
to your side?
Correct.
Not in this plan.
Because that's not
Because we're still-
village.
So we'll still be the town, but
Yeah.
across the street will be the village. Got it.
I think I just had one more question, and Lori Miller again. I thought I saw a plan at some point that never had any drives coming out onto bus. Was that a dream, or did it plan? Was that hopeful thinking?
I think it was probably hopeful thinking.
Yeah, it's always been planned to come out on bus. The connection to Glacial Drumlin was something that we've talked about. That wasn't shown right away, but that was the only connection that wasn't, we had always looked at coming out on bus.
That might have been, if there was a drawing of that, that might have been what I saw, because the drawing, the thing I'm picturing in my head definitely did not have any openings coming onto the bus. But I might have been,
Maybe it was a different plan for something, I don't know.
yeah, different school.
I have a question, Sasha and Jessica from Lane Street. What's going to be the grades for this school, like K through 6?
Currently, it's grade 3 through 5.
Any other questions from the public? All right. Then what we'll do is we'll close the public hearing. and move on to discuss and consider a request from Winona Grove School District to rezone approximately 53.7 acres on 4490 Bus Road from rural holdings to SR4 Single Family Residential. This looks like you had a question right away.
Do you have a map of your whole property by chance that shows the empty fields above that are north to the school?
A small drawing. I don't have a plan with the building located on the entire site.
So, because I was looking at the traffic impact analysis that kind of shows some things, but, because though, like the exhibits in the TIA showed the south driveway and north driveway and then Lane Street further north of that, so I just wanted to get an idea of where exactly it was.
Yeah.
But they're just straight lines, so they don't show very right.
Yeah, sorry.
It looks like though that the property, the proposed school is more along in the 15 acres that was recently purchased rather than the first 40.
Correct.
So then the driveways would both be south of Lane Street.
Again, the building, I believe, sits somewhere within this kind of area. And then, we've got the roads both, or the entry points both the north and to the south.
Oh, because yeah, that shows Lane Street there.
Yes.
And then, right, and then the connection to Glacial Drumlin occurs, really close to the south border or south property line.
I would imagine the second route's gonna be right there.
Yeah.
I think it's coincidence, but those two arrows are about where your bus lanes are.
No.
It doesn't state it before both the driveways are south of Main Street.
Both are south of the lane?
Yeah, this is Lane, right, I would agree with that.
Both are south of the lane, that's not what your other map showed.
Well, I thought that looked like a curb cut, I was making an assumption, but looking at this, I would say that the property that the building is being constructed on is most likely in this area where I've got my hand and south, so kind of within this area.
So then where would the buses be coming in then?
I'm just guessing they're
Right
about
around
in
there.
this area.
So it'd still be south, and the other one is,
Yeah, further south.
Yeah, further south.
is there a way to request a pictorial that shows where Lane Street sits in relation to where these buildings are?
Sure.
That's something you could get us for the board meeting, we could add it to that
Yep.
board.
Yeah. So, before we get into all these potential motions, staff and Mike, comment on your reports.
Maybe better to take them one by one. There's 4 different actions to take, 4 different agenda items. It'd be less confusing to take them.
Okay, so
one
then
by
we're
one.
starting with the rezoning.
The rezoning, we'd recommend approval. There's no conditions. 11 and 12 kind of go hand in hand. This would be considered an indoor institutional land use. That's a conditional use regardless of what underlying zoning district it would be in. So to a certain extent, it doesn't really matter what district they're changing into. SR4 is what the other schools are zoned. There's single family around it. It just kind of makes sense, but they'll need the conditional use permit as well to make the school work. purposes of 11, we'd recommend approval with no conditions.
So I motion to approve.
Okay. Motion, second? Motion second. Any further discussion for rezoning? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 12, discuss and consider request for Monroe Grove School District for a conditional use permit to allow the elementary school as an indoor institutional land use on 4490 Bus Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
There is,
Is that with the conditions in the parent report?
Yes.
Yes.
I amend my motion with conditions.
I second.
Thank you, Alex.
So for the public, the condition basically just states that the conditional use permit applies to what's on the site plan that they submitted. Any future athletic facilities or anything like that may require an amendment to the conditional use permit.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 13, discuss and consider request from Monroe Grove School District for approval of site plan for a new elementary school at 4490 Bus Road.
So I've got some conditions.
I have a question, John.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yes, so, there's a lot of work put into the site plan, and I can appreciate all that. Where are we, or whose responsibility for the roads connecting Red Hawk, Morning Dove Drive, Pheasant Run? There are a lot of options we've discussed in the prior meeting, and I'm not seeing that as part of this site plan.
That was also in staff's concern as well.
I think we can kind of get to that through Mike's conditions if we want to
Yeah,
go
let's,
through these.
sure.
So for the planning conditions on the site plan, number one, you have the connection going to Glacial Drumlin, which I think makes sense to everybody, but in the submittal, it just kind of stops at the property line. I think we'd like to see where it actually connects on the Glacial Drumlin property. Number two, the landscaping plan, it looked like there were a couple of trees where the bike trail crosses the driveway that were kind of close to that intersection and might block views of people crossing, maybe shift those trees. I'm assuming there's going to be exterior site lighting in the parking lots of things, so we'd want photometrics and cut sheets of that. Four is just a reminder that sign permits are a separate process, so when you have that kind of finalized, let us know and we'll work on the sign permits with you. And then there would be a developer agreement, again, between the school district and the village documenting any public improvements related to the project. And I think Mike's conditions kind of get into that a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I just had maybe it's a pen and ink or the well's already abandoned out there, but just having the well abandonment on there and then have that taken off the list of open wells in the state. Drainage-wise, the east side of the site shows areas that drain towards the east-southeast, so when we do get the calculations for stormwater on this, verify that the runoff is within measures to prevent impact to the residential properties. And further comments will follow with the stormwater management plan. Access-wise, there's a 60-foot wide easement shown, and it's just that rectangle that's in the upper right corner of the plan right there. And its intention, and it's on the CSM, to extend to the north property line. So it's shown as an easement that would, I believe there, would interconnect with Pheasant Run, Morning Dove, and Red Hawk Drive. We've expressed the need to, since those roads are built, and they're certainly weren't built to be cul-de-sacs, and they would be too long to be cul-de-sacs, that we need a continuation of that road to the north. And that would provide a connection to the north, which would be part of a neighborhood plan into West Lawn 4th Ave. The easement suggests that the road could be constructed, but concern with the easement at the property line is that we have now existing residents, that would create a corner lot situation for them. And so I'm not providing the solution here, but just the concern, and maybe the school can consider what the resolution to that concern is. No improvements are shown, indicating that there currently is no commitment to construct the road. We recommend that connecting the road be constructed as part of the school development. And the reason for that, unlike maybe Bus Road, is that we currently have the homeowners and the roads already there awaiting that need. We recommend an outlet be maintained between the edge parcel and the residential homes, such that the road doesn't create those corner parcels, and that the school district, and probably in conjunction with the village as well, but there'd be a public hearing with the affected residents on if that would work or if something else is needed. In the easement, we recommend interconnecting the sidewalks and/or bike trails from each village block. Set improvements along, so that covers what's happening road-wise on the kind of the east side of the plat. On Bus Road, set improvements along Bus Road to interconnect with the adopted Bus Road plan. So some folks, I guess, asked that question earlier about what's the plan, and Village Board did review that and Public Works Committee, as far as it's a four-lane median divided roadway with a bike path on the east side of the roadway, and the improvement fits within the designated 100-foot right-of-way. The school will be responsible for the cost of Bus Road improvements for the ownership frontage. And then under transportation, I just indicate that that particular statement above, improvements of Bus Road, would be at an agreed upon date with the village, and that would be something that would be entered into the developer's agreement. We concur with the TIA analysis conducted by the school district. There are some minor edits and comments that are coming back, but the general essence of the report is that there is a analysis of a need for some traffic control on Bus Road at Cottage Grove Road. So there's a need to stop traffic on Cottage Grove Road to allow for the traffic on Bus Road. It'll be high enough for that. And then it also indicates some lane expansions for the approaches to the intersection. So we concur with that. Lighting and electrical and other utilities. We will look for a photometric plan of the outdoor lighting. And then bury overhead power lines along the frontage. We kind of talked about that too, in that if you're developing, for instance, just the south part of the parcel, perhaps bury along that frontage to get those power lines out of your way and underground, and then you can delay the rest more with the development of Bus Road in the future. Provide a 12-foot easement for the utility buried behind the dedicated right-of-way line along the Bus Road frontage. So these next three comments are kind of aimed at the CSM. And then provide a 10-foot easement within the north and south property lines. So those are the overall property lines for the continuation of utilities. That could help you or others, but it's for power and underground power, phone, and those things that might be needed in those locations. Provide a 15-foot easement for the continuation of water main from Pheasant Run to the south property line. That's something we talked about with there's a necessary loop for Pheasant Run to come to the south and connect in with Cottage Grove Road water main someday when, for instance, the Blair parcel would develop to complete that loop. Sanitary and water supply, the services are shown are okay, but they don't provide any looping, so that looping will be a maintenance issue for the public works and utility staff, and require additional maintenance for keeping those water mains clear. The water main on Pheasant Run is to continue to the southwest. As I indicated above, the water main at Morning Dove and Red Hawk would interconnect and then be supplied north for future development. Sanitary sewer in Red Hawk is to continue north to supply parcels to the north. These are details I think we want to see and have agreement on those. It's kind of related to the road comments. Now it's the underground part of that, but that one area that's in that 60-foot easement, we've got to have some agreement for that these would be conditions necessary for approval. Final drawings and details provide the plans indicated above in the engineering review under Chapter 163, which is our stormwater management and erosion control ordinance, so we'll need those elements. And then we believe because it is a school site and it has a lot of green space, that won't be a challenge as far as meeting those. Annexation, the annexation map will include all of Bus Road. Now I think saw an update where that's taken care of. So that's all I have for comments.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions for staff? School?
Jared, do you know who's going to be working with the school on the developer agreement?
Yes, Chad Way from String Patterson.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Monona Grove School District site plan for the new elementary school at 4490 Bus Road with the conditions as set forth in Aaron's planning staff report and the MSA report by Mike Maloney. In addition, can we also include the map of the property compared to the properties and streets surrounding it? And that also indicates, well, maybe it's on the CSM, but it also indicates the 60-foot easement along the east side with the 3 roads, Pheasant Run, Morning Dove Drive, and Red Hawk Trail. I think that was it.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Alex, do you have any more discussion?
Yeah, I guess I got a couple things, if that's okay. The traffic study, I guess just a couple open-ended, I don't know if it's necessarily. So the traffic light that's recommended in the traffic study, who's responsible, who's paying for that? Put that in, if it goes in.
Yeah, I didn't address who's paying for it. I think there's quite a few people that could be involved in that, but one of which, if it meets 4-hour warrants, could be Dane County to help with anything that would be left with the village. So I think that needs to be discussed further at maybe Public Works yet and other committees.
Right. And then that 60-foot easement, I respect that we're approving a space to do something. I really like to see detail around what we're doing. So is that an open-ended question from your report, Mike, or they're going to come back and show us the detail of how we're connecting those roads? Is the school paying for connecting those roads, or is all we're doing is creating an envelope for roads?
My recommendation is that the roads and utilities be shown completed and we have agreed upon installation date. My recommendation was in conjunction with development of the school in that particular area.
So what's the process around that then? So there's going to be it will come back and it will come back and we will see roads on the next drawing. And, what's the drawing? We want to see the whole square of land. I think we can see that too. So that's all coming back.
Alex, the approval is conditioned on a development agreement that's worked out between the village and the school regarding all public improvements.
So we are seeing the roads come back. It's going to come back and they're building roads.
That's the condition, right? Yeah. That's the condition.
The condition is we need an agreement.
Yeah.
Is that part of the public meeting that you recommended? Mike, in your access part?
No, that related to it being right adjacent to those residential properties, and I think that meeting, we would, if it's necessary for that to wait to be in the developer's agreement, we would put it there.
So I think it's
So
the school,
that's a yes? They're building roads there for it?
so the school district's understanding is that that would be addressed in the developer's agreement, and not saying that roads are being shown or not, or who or when or how it's being paid for, but that was our understanding, is that the developer's agreement would address, just like it did address in front of Glacial Drumlin, what the public works responsibility would be either now or in the future.
So all we're really approving is the easement
Yes.
With conditions.
Right.
and hopes and dreams, okay.
Well, the developer agreement, Alex, is going to be a written outline of your hopes and dreams and demands. I mean,
No, I appreciate what you're saying, Lee. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm sorry. I mean, it's the site plan. I mean, they figured out where they're putting trees, so they couldn't draw the road as an idea.
Right.
I mean, they know they're doing it. I understand what you're saying with the developer agreement and the details. Is it a 50-foot wide gap for the median, or can we go back to the lot line? You know, and those are what can be detailed out. But to not even show, they spent time on putting in trees, but we know we have to connect these roads. And it is a concern for the village, the access to these roads, right? I mean, that came up several times.
Right.
It just seems like it's just dangling out there, and we'll address this agreement, you know, show it in the site plan. Hey, we plan to do something. That's what this is, right? I don't know. I'm just a little disappointed, I guess. You can't fix it now, so, I mean, the drawing is what's in front of us. This point.
I do believe the property north of our property that was originally plotted out, that was presented at a community hearing, had a road that came over a little farther, but based on some of the findings that Hamburg's have found, that road might change, and so by drawing that in, we felt that we would also be having the developer north of our property sort of stuck where their roads would have to be. So I think we're open to having that conversation with the village. By no means are we thinking that we don't want to, but we don't want to also put a road in that ultimately doesn't connect up with the road, or have the same situation that what the village is experiencing with Shady Road and Buzz Road not being straight across from each other.
You know, again, it's a plan. It's not detailed. I mean, you figured out where to put the trees. If I measure it out, I'm not going to be right where they're at. That's all, you know.
Alex, I think it's covered in the conditions, and I think it's also clear in the motion that will be addressed. Am I wrong?
That's my understanding.
That's my understanding as well, but I think he wants to make sure that it's not approving a final site plan without basically knowing that there's a developer's agreement condition on it, which is in the conditions.
Yes.
So the long answer to you, Alex, is it's covered in the developer's agreement, so it's not final until it's signed off on the developer's agreement.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other discussion? All right, having heard none, then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Item 14, discuss and consider request from Monona Grove School District for approval of a certified survey map for the approximate 53.7 acres of 4490 Bus Road.
I'll make the motion to approve the certified survey map for approximately 53.7 acres at 4490 Bus Road to Monona Grove School District with the staff recommendations.
Second.
A second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
I would just say that, yeah, the conditions of actually recording it would be, have to wait, you know, until the easement is worked out, particularly that road. And besides adding the ones we mentioned, if there's any change to that particular easement for the future roadway, that would change the submittal slightly.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Yes. And you're okay with that?
Yes.
the staff's comments as well.
All right. Any other discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed, anybody abstaining, motion carries. Item 15 is future agenda items. Matt or Aaron, do you have?
Just a reminder, we're having a special plan commission meeting on the 29th, I believe, Monday the 29th. So we have a conditional use permit that we'll be considering at that time, and then I would like to do some more comp plan stuff since we only have the one item and you're all going to be here anyway.
All right. Anything else from staff?
Let's check the, I assume that we have, that Lisa will do something about the air conditioning next time. Either that or tell me ahead of time that I don't have to wear a tie, because I'm hot.
All right.
Well, in the audience is hot.
All right, item 16.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned. Second.
Alex, thank you. You currently hold the record for longest time on the telephone with the Planning Commission.
Lee, it's
Yeah,
not,
my phone says hour 49.
Okay.
I appreciate
We'll put it up on the record board.
it's not over because we have to adjourn. It's motion second, non-debatable. All those in favor? Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, no, Buster Road, I didn't really address it.
Aye.
I don't think in these comments.